Hey everyone, Kev, Dan, and Jared come to you from Orange Weekly. I'm going to jump right into it, okay?
Right.
So thank you, Sarah Gardner. Thank you, Juan Guzman, the OG. Richard Powell, thank you. Cindy Blansett Holler.
Oh, what are you doing?
I was going to go through and thank all our 10,000 fans.
That's not going to happen
Why?
in this one
But I
episode.
want-
It's going to take
We
way too
could
long.
do it.
Let's just
Like
let's
10
just
minutes.
move on. Thank you guys for joining us in Orange Weekly. We definitely appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the game last night. We know it was a late one, but we appreciate all you guys for staying up and watching it, and we hope that you guys enjoy the show. While we're going through this, while we go through the intro for the 2-minute warning, please comment your questions, comments,
Yes,
and
please.
concerns, and we will definitely try to get to as many questions as possible throughout this and try to give you kind of our take and give you a little bit of what the research that we've done to figure out what's going on. So thanks again.
Hey, we don't really have much for a 2-minute warning challenge this week.
let's go
We're
with
going right into the intro, guys. Thanks for joining us. Again, post your thoughts about the games. We'll get to injury updates as well as some interviews from the coaching staff, Von Miller as well. But should be a good show. But here you go, and we'll see you on the other side, guys.
Listen, man. It's hard to win in this league, okay? It's hard to win this league, man. It took the very last play of the game to win this football game, okay? It's all your work and prep all week. That's what it came down to, man. Now, listen to me now. Success is not final, man, okay? This feeling is not final. It takes work, Okay, so Wednesday morning, do what? Come to work. Come to work, guys, to get this same feeling next Sunday. Make sense? Congrats, man. Okay, your work paid off. Last play of the game, okay? Congrats. Good job. Good job. Good job. Work paid off. Let's go. Everybody up. Everybody
Hold on. First win as a head coach.
This is for the coaches and players, man, okay? You guys make this happen. Okay, you guys make it happen. Coaches, great plan. Players, great work all week. Okay? This is for you, not for me. It's for you. Bring it in. 1, 2, 3.
So, Jared, there you go. That's the victory speech from Coach Joseph after the close win, 24-21 Broncos, guys.
As you could see, Coach Joseph, I saw Coach Joseph. We all, and he's having the time of his life. He's really Coach Joseph.
You good there?
I was challenged to do my best Sergio Dip impression.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
And
okay.
I think I nailed it.
Yeah,
However,
I think you did.
I do want to thank Sergio Dip for all the crap that he's getting. It was definitely a fun internet sensation there for a little while, and he just owns that up, and I think that's amazing. We'll probably going to see more. I'm surprised they didn't go back to him after that first time. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more. Yeah, but
his backstory was actually pretty cool. If you guys didn't see he came out with a video saying, he's from Mexico. He's not native to the U.S. and he's talking about how special he thought it was being able to broadcast it, his debut broadcast on Monday Night Football on September 11th, and he said he was just really trying to capture that moment and everything. So, not to pick on you, Sergio, but I think you did a great job. Hope we see you again in the future games.
Yeah, hopefully your next few games are a little bit smoother than that one went.
Okay, guys, welcome to Orange Weekly again. I'm Kev Dan. This is Jared. Post your questions and comments, and we'll start getting to you right away. We've heard that from Coach Joseph. We'll play a little bit of his interview and a little bit from today as well after he looked at the tape. But Jared, I'll just jump right into it. What are some gut reactions from the game yesterday?
So my initial gut reaction, which I feel like a lot of people's were way too close for comfort in that fourth quarter. We did slow down a little bit towards the fourth quarter as far as our offensive production went, trying to run the clock out a little bit. Yeah. 2 crazy turnovers that one of them probably could have been avoided. The other one was just so close. It just kind of happens every once in a while, and there's not really too much we could do about it. And then they capitalized on it, and they did exactly what any team would have done: take a shot to the end zone, knowing that we're on our heels at that point. So that's pretty much my gut reaction. Obviously, we came through at the end. Our defense did end up stepping up. Kept Phillip Rivers in the pocket, kept him from throwing the ball anywhere, especially when they got down to field goal range. I think he threw away 2 of them just because he saw Vaughn coming out of the back of his head. So yes, there's a little bit of room to freak out that we couldn't finish in the fourth quarter right off the bat. Right. However, I think we could calm down. We still have that offensive production, and I think one of those things is like week 1 jitters. We got him out, and it's good to go.
No, I agree. I think there were a lot of improvements. Week 1 is always kind of crazy. I think Rex Ryan said it last night. Week 1 is almost like preseason week 5. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's just look at the Charger or the Kansas City Chiefs Patriots game. I mean, crazy things happen left and right. But I think we came out really strong, and while we weren't perfect, I mean, what team is perfect week 1?
Right.
All the shortfalls and shortcomings and weaknesses we had last year, I think we showed that we really improved on pretty much across the board,
for the most part.
Especially in run defense and our run game. I think were the 2 big ones there.
Yeah, so you definitely saw all those acquisitions that we made in the offseason definitely paid off, especially in the run game. Pass blocking was a little bit slower, and obviously there were some things, we'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but our run game, our running backs weren't even getting touched until about 2 yards down the field. So that was definitely nice. Opened up a few holes, got a few 9, 10, 15-yard runs in there. Definitely opened up the playbook really well, because if we can get 9 yards on first down, it opens up the entire playbook for a 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2. So definitely opened up a lot for Mike McCoy, and you saw it because all of our drives came down. The other thing I really want to mention too is that our offense, other than in the first half completely, and that first drive of the second half, we capitalized in the red zone, which is something that we couldn't do last year. Right. We definitely got a few touchdowns. Obviously, after that 3rd touchdown, we kind of slowed down a little bit, settled for a field goal on one of them, and then ended up taking a sack and missing the 50-yarder. That was rough, but
sure.
For the most part, you see we're driving all the way down the field. We don't need to start on our side of the zone to get touchdown, and we drove all the way down the field, which is nice to see.
I also like seeing Simeon step up as well. Some of those passes he made, man, I mean, he threaded the needle on several of them. I mean, he knew exactly where his receiver was going to be, and I think that made a difference as well. Just looking at his leadership style on the field this year, I mean, last year wasn't existent, and I don't blame him. I mean, he, as a first-time starter on the team, trying to follow in Peyton Manning's footsteps, really he was just trying to keep his head above water. But this year, you can tell like he's really driving the team. He's really kind of bringing everyone together and putting that leadership and that on-field management style on the field versus last year.
Right. I literally had me laughing out loud, Albert. Never trust a young ho to kick. Although that was, and that goes back to it. We had 2 timeouts at the end of the game, and Coach Joseph. I'm surprised he didn't use the second timeout, but it was definitely good that he didn't because we ended up blocking it. But
I was
iced the kicker a little bit. He made the first kick, but iced him and came around. Ended up getting a little bit too low on the kick, and that's a rookie mistake. And Shelby Harris gets up there and gets that block.
Boom. Shelby Harris. Yeah. I think we saw a lot of great things from him on during the preseason as well, and it was really exciting and promising to see him step up in the game time environment as well. And I think we're going to see great things from him. He's going to be a real big part of that D-line there, on both special teams and defense. And then Garrett Bowles. He had one penalty. I mean, people thought he was going to be, left side was going to be the weak side because he's the rookie. I think they definitely tested him. I know if I was the opposing team, I would be testing that left side big time.
Right.
But he stood his ground. He made a couple big blocks. I think there was the one play where Sanders caught the ball on the right side of the field and ran to the left side of the field and basically got 10, 15 extra yards because of a block by Garrett Bowles.
Downfield.
It was fantastic to see him step up like that. And he's really... kind of making a name for himself. Left side looked like our strong side last night.
It did. And our right side, they end up picking on our right side a little bit, and we'll get in a little bit more into that. I'm sure you guys all saw that. But
yeah,
we our offensive line, and especially with Garrett Bowles, you can tell he's hungry, and he's been going up against guys like Von Miller every day in practice. So he's definitely getting that experience, and it's definitely good to see coming out. And I think he's going to be our left tackle of the future. I think he's going to be with us for a while. He's definitely stepping up, and as long as he keeps up this play all throughout the season, he's going to be good. I do want to get to real quick. We will talk about Smitty the Gritty.
What's up, man?
We will talk about the Cowboys game a little bit later today, and also a little bit of a shameless plug. We're going real deep into what we should expect from the Cowboys game in our podcast. So keep out a lookout for our podcast when we post it on our Facebook.
We're posting it here. We're going to start. Last week was the first week. If you want to go back and re-listen to that, Jared and his friend Matt really delve into not just our strengths and weaknesses, but the strengths and weaknesses of the opposing team. Basically talk about what each team needs to do to win. And it's, we can talk about go Broncos all day, and I'll be the first one to do it. But it's really awesome hearing you guys talk about what about the other side of the ball? What's the opposing team looking for? What weaknesses are they trying to expose? And what are they trying to fix against our strengths? So, guys, check it out. It's going to be a really awesome podcast this week, and keep growing.
Right. So, going to a couple of your guys' questions. I'll go with you, Juan. We'll get a little bit later into the Cowboys game a little bit later in the episode, so stick around. But Juan, Leary's injury. So if we want to start talking about injuries right now, he does have a concussion right now. He's going through the protocol right now. There's no official news or official word on how severe the concussion was. So he could be out anywhere from 2 days no hitting to 4 or 5 weeks, depending on the severity. From the interview from Vance Joseph today, Coach Joseph was saying it doesn't sound like it's super serious. If he does miss time, he'll probably miss a time in a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. But hopefully he's back against the Cowboys, because he is an integral part of our offensive line, and you could show he stepped up so much. And as soon as he went out, you saw our offensive line kind of not get as much push as it did when he was in.
Right. I'm just going to go back to so the injuries are a big part, and I think not Simmons. Who was the other?
Stewart.
He says he's planning on being ready by week 2. So I think it was a groin injury there. Not too serious. We'll see how that kind of goes throughout the week and what they think is kind of the best option for him. But Jared Crick, who did sit out this last game, planning on having him back next week as well, which will help the offensive line as well, kind of bolster that they got going on.
Yeah. Well, going back and I haven't seen the official word. You might be right, Smitty. He might be out for the Cowboys game, and I can see it. I haven't seen the official word on it, but if he is out for the Cowboys game, they did play Max Garcia and Barbary throughout, switching in at the left guard position. So I think what will end up happening is he'll just move over to the right guard. They'll have both of them play. Max Garcia and Barbary will play on the guard positions, which isn't a bad situation. We still have 2 guys that are starter worthy. It would suck to have without him because I think that brings down our run game a little bit, but our pass blocking is going to be pretty decent. Yeah.
If you want, so guys, keep posting your questions and comments. I kind of go over some of the things that I saw. The run defense, Melvin Gordon. So I think a lot of people just look back to the Chargers team even a year ago, who were the only team that the Browns beat in the whole season.
Right.
This isn't the same Chargers team. They've really kind of they're healthy. They're motivated to bounce back from last year. And Phillip Rivers is always dangerous. Okay, you got Melvin Gordon there, really great running back if you ask me. And then on the defense, they got Ingram on one side and Joey Bosa on the other. So we faced a very competent Chargers team, and going to week 1, that was a pretty big challenge for us, and I think we held our own very well. The run defense, if you look at it, they were getting 1 to 3 yards a carry. We were right there on the line of scrimmage. Yeah, there was
a couple plays that, like their first run, everybody, I know all of our Bronco fans were kind of like, not more of the same, please don't. But they ended up stepping up and ended up stopping a lot of those runs.
Exactly, and you go back to the 4th down conversion the Chargers tried to go. It's 4th and 1, and Todd Davis came up the middle and actually got him, I think, behind the line of scrimmage for a yard or so. So I think the run defense there is, I don't want to say fixed, but much improved from last year, and that's going to be a real big challenge and focus point for us going into week 2, especially if Ezekiel Elliott is playing.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be a big issue going into next week, is we got to make sure that we can shore that up, and getting a couple guys back from injury like Crick is going to be very helpful. So hopefully he comes back 100%, coming back from his back injury. Hopefully he is back 100% and we can shore up that inside, and Poe and he was playing great on the inside. Shelby Harris was playing great on the inside, and it was very nice to see all those guys kind of step up to be what we needed to fill.
Exactly.
I want to go back. So now we're talking about the Cowboys a little bit. I agree. I'm not sold on the Cowboys defense. They got rid of a lot of their defensive backs. All their defensive backs are either new or acquired on trade. And while New York obviously didn't do very well with them, mostly because of their offensive line, but I'm not sold on the Cowboys defense. And this goes into something I kind of want to transition before we transition to the Cowboys game. A question that we had earlier too is ESPN had us ranked at number 9, and they dropped us down to number 16 after a win on a Monday Night Football against a very competent Chargers team. However, on the other hand, we had NFL.com. I think they had us at 17. They pulled us up to 15 on the win. But ESPN, I think they're out to lunch. I'm pretty sure they went to bed before the game because their comment on it was that our offense is more the same, that we can't get anything going, and that we can't pass anymore. We can't run. We're still the same old team that we were last year. And I'm pretty sure they didn't watch the game because that's definitely not the case.
You look at it, they also have the Patriots ranked above the Chiefs, and the Chiefs embarrassed them at home.
Yeah.
Okay, so something just doesn't adding up. Some of the other things, we're talking Pittsburgh was number 1, and they let the Browns put it close. I mean, it was close. They let the Browns put up a lot of points to get them. Le'Veon Bell had how many rushing yards?
Not a lot. I'm on fantasy, and that sucked.
Exactly. So some of the rankings here, guys, let's look back to a couple years ago. The rankings are nice and all when we're up there, but hey, I'm okay with being the underdog. It goes back to what I've been saying the last couple weeks of our guys thrive on that. Yeah. They're used to it. They're used to the pressure. They love the pressure, and they know how to step up to the plate in really important games, which showed last night.
Yeah. It really did, and I think we're ready for this season, and I think fix a few things here and there. We don't have any huge holes, and the difference between us and the Patriots have they know they have a good team, but they have a lot of holes that they need to fix, and they have a lot of things that they need to work on, where we know we're a good team and we have 1 or 2 holes that we can fix and that we need to work on. And that's something that Vance Joseph, Mike McCoy, Joe Woods, they're all going to get to practice this week, and they're gonna get on it, and they're going to make sure that we fill those holes real quick before we play the Cowboys.
Yeah, so it's going to be a steep learning curve going into week 2, but kind of that leads us into play you guys part of the Vance Joseph interview from earlier today after he saw some of the game film and kind of really nitpicked and got a good idea of what we need to work on. And I think he points out a lot of good things. And I think we've mentioned it on the past probably four shows, but the more we hear this guy talk, the more we respect him. He is a no bullshit kind of guy. The things he did down in Miami kind of set himself up as well. Just he'll call players out if they're not doing well. He won't bullshit you guys. If we're not doing well, he'll tell you guys. And I think that's really good to have that transparency, not only between us and the fans, but between him and the players as well. So we'll switch you over to that. Go ahead and keep posting your questions. Let us know what you guys think about the video, and we'll come back with some other discussion points as well.
Jumped out from the tape. I know it's early, but
D-line wise, I thought Shelby played again very, very solid. I thought Gotts has played well. Gotts has played at the point of attack very strong on double teams. You can see his quickness, you can see his length and size. So I think Gotts is coming along. If he stays healthy, he's what he should be for us. I mean, he can be a starter for us. He can rush the passer. He can play the run game. So obviously, I was pleased with Goss. I was pleased with Shelby. I thought Darren Stewart played very solid, very well. Having two young guys with him in the back end, he played solid. Offensively, I thought Virgil Green blocked, caught the ball very well. I thought Trevor played well outside of the one interception. DT, Emmanuel, both played well last night.
Looks like Trevor got a helmet-to-helmet hit. Trevor.
Yes.
Are you guys taking a look at that? Will you talk to the league about that?
Well, it was called, so it should be reviewed by the league. So it was a 15-yard roughing the passer penalty.
Are you concerned about how many hits Trevor really got yesterday?
Absolutely. Again, the pass protection was not where it's got to be for us to be a good football team. And again, we were facing two elite edge rushers last night, and most teams don't have two, but in our division, every team has two. So we got to improve there. No excuses there. We got to play better on the edge as far as blocking speed rushers.
Hey guys, once again, I think he laid out a lot of good points. If you want to listen to the full interview, go and go to DenverBroncos.com and listen to it. But I just love hearing him talk and kind of the way he explained things. It's promising to hear coming from a first-year head coach.
Right, yeah, and he mentioned out. I like the fact that he's calling out the guys that are doing really well and they're playing really well. And I'm gonna repeat some of them, but I have a little bit of shout outs where I watched them, and I just don't want to forget to mention that these guys actually balled out for us, and they had a lot of very good plays that ended up being very critical for the Broncos. So Adam Gostis, he played really well, and when we picked him up in the draft a couple years ago, we definitely were expecting a lot from him, and it didn't really play out as much as we wanted it to.
Right.
Had the rookie slump a little bit, and kind of didn't really become what we wanted him to, but he really stepped up this year. So far this week, he stepped up really well. Shelby Harris, obviously, with the block kick, but also playing on that defense. He played a lot of snaps coming up from the practice squad, or coming off from undrafted. So. And then Simmons and Stewart stepping up. Last week everybody was talking about the lost TJ Ward's going to kill us, and Simmons and Stewart really...
No, I didn't hear any of that from anybody.
They both stepped up very well. They were getting tackles in the backfield, and it was really nice to see. They were flying all over. They're fast, they're strong, they're physical. They definitely played really well.
Yep.
Flipping it over to the offensive side, we have to mention Benny Fowler.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So let's not forget that Benny Fowler exists, because a lot of people forget to talk about him in the concept.
I'm okay with. So, not to interrupt, but we got DT, we got Sanders. Those are the big ones that people say, hey, we cover those guys, you should be okay.
Yeah.
And now you cover those guys, and Bernie Fowler steps up. So now you cover those. You can't cover all three of them at once, and then you add Jordan Taylor or Cody Latimer in there or something. I mean, somebody's going to be open somewhere.
Exactly.
And the throws that Trevor Siemian was making last night, I mean, he's going to make something happen.
Right, and everybody just counts him out for being a super athletic receiver, but you saw some of those catches that he made. I mean, the first catch, or the catch when the offsides in the end zone.
Benny Fowler, I'm sorry.
It was
correct.
What'd you call him?
I said Bernie.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm sorry, man. That's bad.
Anyways, so he stepped up. He stepped up really well, and look for more of him. He's definitely going to be. He definitely secured that spot as that third receiver. Cody Latimer did not play receiver. However, he had a huge hit on a punt return. Definitely a special teams play, and I've been talking about this. As much as I hate special teams when I'm coaching, I love special teams when I'm watching, because it can really turn around a game.
Yeah.
And they definitely were backed up into their end zone a lot with the special teams. I'm going to leave that be because I've talked about that too much. Garrett Bowles. We talked about Garrett Bowles stepping up. We talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to step on it too much. And then obviously Trevor Siemian. And then the last one I want to mention is the crowd. the Broncos country
Phenomenal.
was
guys.
that entire first drive for the the Los Angeles Chargers.
Week 1.
That entire drive for the Chargers was stopped, and they had to take 2 timeouts. They were out of timeouts halfway through this first quarter. Through the first half, it was great. It was amazing, and Broncos country, we are the best. We have the best fans. We have the loudest stadiums, and I can't say it more than once. It's just amazing to see, and especially watching on TV, not being able to be in Denver. It was so loud just on the TV that you couldn't even hear the announcers, which I'm okay with.
That was fine, and we have our own opinions about how that went.
Yeah.
But no, it was that home field advantage. Most teams don't have that. Okay, yeah, Kansas City has a loud stadium. Seahawks have a loud stadium, but really, people, the fan base isn't as what am I trying to say? Isn't as strong, I guess, and isn't as diehard as us, where we're willing to scream at the top of our lungs for a full game to do anything that we can do to help out the team, and that's just fantastic.
And even it was getting later, towards midnight, and the game didn't even end till just before midnight, and the whole crowd was just going nuts in that last drive. And as much as we had our backs against the wall with them coming back, the crowd was definitely on point. So I can't wait to go to another Broncos game this year, and that was so much fun to watch, and I'm so excited for that this year. Let's get into some of these questions, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, now we have 2 questions now. What about Jordan Taylor? So, yeah, Jordan Taylor didn't really get to play too much. I don't think he had any catches.
I think he was inactive last
week. Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was inactive.
Oh, that makes sense. So, he was inactive. So, hopefully we do get to play him next week. Obviously, we really like the guy. He's definitely an athlete. He's always runs great routes. He's always open somehow. So, that's definitely good to see. But Benny Fowler definitely showed that he can also get open and play that role too. So, let's go. We're going to be playing in February. I like that start already. That's kind of cool. And we wanted to talk more about the punching back and getting punched and punching back. So, yeah, San Diego, Los Angeles. I need to stop that.
It's week 1. It's week 1. We're not
perfect.
That's not even.
Guys. I mean, that's like a week. That's 3 weeks I've been calling them.
I'm trying to get it out.
All right. So Los Angeles, they are a good team, and they did punch back. And anytime you give, if you watched any of the post game interviews, and we're going to get into one here in a little bit with Von Miller, and if you watched Vance Joseph post game interview. Anytime you give the ball to the San Diego Chargers offense, they have the chance to have that big play advantage, and they took advantage of it. So there's nothing. At that point, we turned it over, gave them the short field, and they capitalized, which any team in the NFL is going to do because it's the NFL. These are the best of the best, and that's what they do.
Exactly.
So yeah, they punched back, but we got the win at the end of the day. And one of my favorite quotes, I think it might be my favorite quote so far this season, but my favorite quote this season so far is Vance Joseph saying, "I'm not going to sit here and apologize for getting a win." Ultimately, that's what it came down to. We got the win. Right. Let's move on to the Cowboys. Let's stop talking about that, and let's finish out. So that was definitely a really cool quote. And again, we talked about the respect that we have for Vance Joseph.
And I think Smitty the Gritty, yeah, thanks for your comments, man. Yeah, completely. That's exactly what Jared's saying. Hey, we got the win. And one thing I want to point out is, the last couple years, especially last year, a lot of the wins we got, we were kind of dependent on our defense getting a pick six or putting us right at the 10-yard line or something where we can get a really easy score. But last night we didn't need that. All 24 of our points came from the offense, and that didn't happen super frequently last year, where we could say that we won a game purely based off of the offense. At least carrying their own weight. That happened last night. And in a week 1 game against a competent team. Now, if we were playing the Browns or something, it was like, oh, is that really a challenge? But this game was a challenge, and I think is actually good for us to see. If you guys start making dumb mistakes in the fourth, it's going to cause. It doesn't matter if you play 3 quarters of a game really well. If you don't play that last bit, if you don't finish it out,
right,
it can come back and bite you in the ass. And I think it's good for them to see that as well, that, hey, that fourth quarter, usually we're a second half team anyway, but that fourth quarter is pretty important. You can blow a lead pretty quickly. They scored 2 touchdowns in, I think it was like a minute and a half or something of game time. So being able to bounce back like that, yeah, at the end of the day, it's a win, but we learned a lot of valuable lessons as well. We kind of saw what our team is capable of early on.
Yeah. And this shows leaps and bounds of what Coach Joseph is able to do on that sideline. And he didn't freak out. He didn't start berating players. He didn't get he kept the motivation up. He made sure that everybody knew that everything was going to be okay, and it ended up showing out in the play. And again, we got the win. So that's definitely, it shows a lot about Coach Joseph. And the cool thing too is, and we're going to get into this, and he's going to mention it here right after this. We're going to look at Von Miller's post-game press conference. And he gave the game ball, and you saw it in the beginning show, he gave the game ball to Coach Joseph, having his first.
Cool.
He has the respect of his players.
Yeah.
And having that respect of your players, when you're calm and cool on the sideline, when your team's back is against the wall, your team is calm and cool and can still make the plays and not start freaking out or start mixing up signals or getting to the wrong place because they have other things on their mind. So it's definitely something that's really cool to see in Vance Joseph, and I think it's only going to get better with time, and it's going to be amazing. So.
Hey, before we go over to this interview really fast, if you saw a couple weeks ago, so we did hit 10,000 fans. We're at 10.6, 10.7 thousand fans right now. It's growing quite a bit every day, and you guys are fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
I do want to make sure we followed up with one of the contests we have earlier on where I asked where everyone is repping from, and the person who was the furthest away would win a flag.
Right.
So we do have this flag. Not flag, but orange towel we're going to be sending off to Susan Miller Fiore. Appreciate all you guys' support. We're probably going to try and do some more of these every now and then, so make sure you follow the page, and we'll have her post a pic of this once she gets it. But like I said, appreciate all you guys' support. Please keep posting your questions and everything throughout these videos. Let us know what you think, and we're trying to answer as much of your questions as possible. We'll kind of wrap up the game preview or the game review after this Von Miller interview, and kind of start talking about what to expect next week without giving too much away from the podcast.
Right, and Gary, after this interview, we will answer your question about how we feel Von Miller did and if we thought he could have done more. So over to the video.
Okay, cool, guys. Hold on, make sure it's good for you guys, nice and loud.
Vaughn, we heard Coach Joseph earned the game ball tonight. Maybe you presented it to him. Can you assess maybe Joe Woods and Coach Joseph's first games?
Oh, they did an incredible job. It wasn't anything. You could kind of feel what was going to happen through OTAs and training camp. Coach VJ's done a great job. He didn't even have to get us to buy in. You got a guy like that, walking around. His presence is felt every single day. He cares about the players, cares about winning. And he just tells the truth. When you got a guy like that, it's easy to go to work every day. Joe Woods, he's been a great coach for us for a long time. Coming to the game, he gave us all type of great calls today. We were prepared defensively, we're prepared mentally. On both of those guys, I'm honored to have those guys as my coaches.
I know you really wanted to be a captain this year. How was it, your first game as a team captain?
Oh, it was great. It didn't really feel any different, from any game. You look down like, oh snap, you got a C right there, but it didn't feel any different. We got a team full of captains. We got a team full of leaders. It's hard to motivate guys that aren't motivated. It's hard to motivate guys that are self-motivated as well. And we got a whole lot of self-motivated guys in there. We all know what we need to be doing. It's great leading this group of guys, going to work every day. I feel great. It's an honor and a privilege to be the captain of the defense.
Am I going?
All right, Gary, we didn't forget about you. So that was Von Miller after the game yesterday, and really talked about how the team is gelling very well with not only the coaches, but the players gelling together. They're all motivated. They're all ready to go. They're all ready to play, which is something that's really good to see. It's the first time that we haven't had really a lot of drama revolved around what's going on and who's going to be playing and who's the leader. And like you said, everyone's a leader, which really makes for a good gelling football team. And that's all behind Coach Joseph. So I do want to mention, Gary, we did not forget about you, how we felt about Von Miller's performance. On stats, he looks like he didn't do much.
Right.
But when you're watching the game, especially in the last few minutes and last few drives where we kind of had some issues going on, we had our backs against the wall and we were on our heels the entire time, he was the one that was getting in and getting the pressure. There was a few times that Phillip Rivers had to throw the ball away because he saw Von Miller coming out of the corner of his eye. He may have not have got him. He might not get credit for the sack. He might not get credit for the pressure, but he definitely creates some pressure. And I think one of my favorite, I wish we need to clip this and put it on one of our videos, because one of my favorite things is when Phillip Rivers got the ball. I think it was a false start offsides, but they blew the whistle. And as soon as he got the ball, he saw him coming. He just kind of like shot put it away. It's like, get this out of my hands. I don't want to get hit.
Not worth it.
It was amazing. So no matter who you're playing, that Von Miller is going to be coming after you, and you have that in the back of your head. And it definitely showed with Phillip Rivers. You could definitely tell that he was flustered knowing that guy was coming at you. The other thing that he also mentioned in that interview is that they had to keep pressing him. right? So and there was a couple times where they had to chip him with a tight end. They had to keep a tight end in or bring in an extra running back to not go out into the flats,
Right.
To block him, to make sure that there was 2 people on him at all times. But what that does is that takes away a receiver for Phillip Rivers. It takes away his check down. It takes away his short tight end pass. It takes away a route that normally he would have had and normally he would have practiced with. So in the grand scheme of things, yeah, he probably he didn't get his sack, but he did have a big impact on how they played. And that definitely brought into how we played as a team. And sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need to not be that selfish guy that's like, oh, my stats are better than yours. Yeah, but he did have a big impact on the defense.
It's a team effort.
Right.
He said whenever, you get double coverage on someone like Von Miller, it's going to open up the other side.
Yeah.
Or you cover Von Miller and Barrett, or when Shane Ray comes back, you cover them on both sides. And now you got someone like Shelby Harris, big guy coming at you right up the middle. So having that versatility, and it's the same thing as we're talking about with the wide receivers. You can cover 3 guys, but you're going to leave a 4th open, or you can cover 2 guys really well and leave 2 sort of open. And, it's going to open those holes, and that's the team aspect of it, and that's good to see.
Right, and one of my favorite, we obviously sacked Phillip Rivers, so anytime that happens is awesome. But
Crimey Rivers.
Again, one of my favorite times is they had the running back, and the running back had to go over and double team Von Miller, and here comes Shaq Barrett coming around the corner and getting the sack. So again, it pulls people away from other people to be able to make the plays, and it's something that I've mentioned about Von Miller. And then when Derek Wolfe is in there, I feel like Derek Wolfe doesn't get a lot of credit because a lot of times he's filling holes where they're trying to go. He has to cut back, and now there's a Bronco there to tackle him. That Bronco gets credit for the tackle, but Derek Wolfe sometimes doesn't always get credit for some of the amazing plays that he does, and doing your job. And everybody last week, for the most part, did their job, and as long as we can keep doing that, it's going to be a great season for us. And I'm excited for the season.
No, I think it just shows a lot of what we're capable of against a tough team in our division too. I'm sorry, hands down, AFC West is the toughest division in the NFL.
If you watch that Kansas City game, if you watch the Oakland is obviously going to be a threat. And now they have Marshawn Lynch, and the Kansas City game, it's going to be this AFC West, this whole division is going to be rough.
It's going to be very rough.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the schedule here in a little bit, kind of talk what's coming up. But guys, I want to go back to Angel. You said we're awesome. No, we try to be awesome for
cheers.
you guys. Yeah, more cheers for you guys. We do this for you. We could sit around and hear ourselves talk all day, but we want to hear what you guys think. We want to interact with you guys, the other fans, and bring you top-notch Broncos content. And that starts with not only this video, but our page content, and then the podcast we started as well with Jared and his friend Matt. So without spoiling too much of what you guys are going to cover in your podcast, what are some of your just big takeaway items? And then if you want to hear more about the X's and O's and kind of the game plan for both teams before next Sunday's game, you can listen to the podcast. And we'll make sure we post that on the page for you guys. But what are some of your big, takeaway or big worries about our team and their team, and what we're going to try to do to overcome, especially Ezekiel Elliott?
So a lot of things that we're going to talk about in the podcast is things that you're not going to hear on the NFL Network or ESPN. NFL Network, ESPN are going to talk about Von Miller versus Dak Prescott. And that's going to be the talk. And I don't think that's the battle that you need to look for. I think the battle needs to be Ezekiel Elliott and Darian Stewart. Yeah. And he's obviously not a linebacker, but he's our guy that's going to be probably lined up against Ezekiel Elliott if he goes out into the flats, or if he comes up the middle. There's got to be someone that comes up. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to end up manning him. We're going to go into kind of more of a man coverage, less of a zone coverage, and get Darian Stewart on man with Ezekiel Elliott. And I think that's going to be your matchup. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about different defensive schemes that we're going to play against them, and also our offensive schemes. We're going to talk about the dwindled defensive backs that the Cowboys have, and the defensive line is definitely not Bosa. They don't have any real big guys they're going to get, so we're going to have a little bit more time. And our offensive line, if we get Ronald Leary back, we'll talk about that and whether or not
hopefully
that
we'll
plays.
Find out in the next day or two.
And if he doesn't get back, how much of an effect that'll play into it. So that'll be a big part of it too. So our game plan really depends on a lot of different aspects. So definitely tune in if you want a little bit more of the insight onto what kind of game plans you're going to be looking for and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to that run game. And I think not only a run D, but once again, getting that run game ourselves. And I think we saw how great it was to have CJ out there, but then how much of an impact it had to have Jamal Charles out there as well, only for maybe a quarter of the snaps. I mean, CJ was out there most of the time, but just to bring somebody else in who is a incredibly strong backup running or number 2 running back, and some of the cuts he was making, and every time he went out there. And hey, guys, even on that fumble he had, first off, it wasn't like he was being irresponsible with the ball. The Charger defender just got his hand at the right spot, and I mean, they're always trying to rip that ball, and he had just the right angle on the ball to rip that ball out of his hands. A quarter of a second later, his elbow would have been down for sure, and they would have overturned that. But even on that, he had 9 yards on that run. I mean, that. Right. I mean, we throw him out there, and the runs we're getting are 4, 5, 6+ yards a carry, opposed to the other team getting 2 or 3 yards at best. Yep. And that's really promising from what I'm seeing as well. So looking for us to carry that momentum into the next game as well, especially with Jared Crick back, and that'll be a big part as well. Somebody asked, Carlos, you asked when Shane Ray is coming back. Fortunately, it's going to be 6 weeks. Game 6 against, or sorry, is that game 6?
It'll be our game 5 or 6. So either New York is 5 weeks out, or Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's the New York game. And to kind of explain this to you guys, because Vance Joseph did explain it, he's out for 6 weeks, but our bye week counts as one of them. With that early bye week, and then or maybe it was a Kansas City game. It's a Monday night game, so that Sunday before counts as one of the weeks.
Right.
They're explaining something like that. So because of that, I think they put him on the IR for 8 weeks, but with the bye week, and then that Sunday before our Monday night game against the Chargers, he's actually coming back against the game against Kansas City. So as long as Barrett stays healthy on the other side, but even then we have Shelby Harris up the middle and all those guys up the middle who can make a play as well.
And I was actually kind of impressed with Shaq Barrett. He stepped up. Obviously, Shane Ray is an athlete. We picked him up really early, and he's definitely an amazing athlete. But I think Shaq Barrett really stepped up and ended up taking on that role of when they triple covered Von Miller on the other side. He ends up getting the pressure. So that was definitely relaxing to see. And it's not obviously missing Shane Ray. When we get him back, we are a better football team ultimately, not just because of his athleticism, but because of the depth that we have now with both him and Shaq. So once we get him back, we'll definitely be a better team. And obviously we wish him well and hopefully help him a speedy recovery. But it looks like the second half of the season for sure we'll have him back. Barring any other injuries, we'll definitely be a better team the second half of the season.
Yeah, Logan, you asked, we did talk about it earlier, but Gotsis, I think he did very well last night. Absolutely. The offensive line in general, the one player I think really didn't step up, defensive. The one player on either one of the lines that I think was our weak link was Watson.
Yeah.
I think there's some of the plays where I felt, just looking at the replays and stuff, where he could have been a little more aggressive in terms of at least turning around, trying to catch the guy that just blew past him. And like I said, we were talking about Garrett Bowles. A lot of people thought Garrett Bowles on the left side was going to be the weak side, but he stood his ground big time last night and played a very good game where he only drew one penalty, and it wasn't even that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So looking for Watson to step up as well. But with the defensive line, I didn't see all those players played extremely well. As long as they keep playing at that level and just improving from here, by week 8, by midseason, I think we're going to be looking at good guys.
Right. Obviously, Melvin Gordon is an amazing running back that has the option to break a big play no matter what day it is or who they're playing. So that was definitely nice to kind of see that we can keep them controlled a little bit more. And our big test, obviously, is going to be the leading rusher of the league last year in Ezekiel Elliott and that offensive line in Dallas. So that's going to be our big league, and I think that's when guys like the ESPN and NFL are going to start taking us seriously. Is if we can stop Ezekiel Elliott from getting too many yards, or we can stop that offense from getting any momentum, and we could just put them away, then I think then they're going to start talking about us a little bit more seriously. But until then, we're just going to have to prove it by our play. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to.
It is going to be a big challenge, but it also goes down to playing smart. And Trevor Siemian, don't get me wrong, I think Trevor Siemian did an outstanding job. His running and some of the cuts he made as well, especially on that touchdown run he had, were fantastic. Now, there were a couple of sacks that he had.
Talk about that later, too.
You want to talk about it now?
Sure, we can talk about that later.
Go for it.
So I do want to talk about that now. I'm scared.
No.
So, again, if you watch the interviews, he even talked about it. They were like, you kind of made some dives there that were, kind of questionable. And Vance Joseph and him both said that he's a competitor, and he really wants to get that win. You could really tell that. And I think a lot of the guys were like
having that in the quarterback.
I like that mentality. I like that. I'm going to dive for this because if I can get that extra 3 yards, that's 3 more yards. We don't have to get on the next play. And that's a great mentality for the most part. But, I'm not ready to see Osweiler back yet, so I'd really like him to keep himself controlled and keep himself healthy. But again, I think he's making some good reads. He's making some veteran reads, and I think my favorite play, obviously it was a touchdown, so it's one of my favorite plays, was when you saw that the defensive line jumped off sides, you saw that you had a free play, and it's schoolyard at that point. He just started pointing around, like, you go here, you go here, I'll throw to whoever's open. He saw Benny Fowler in the back of the end zone, and a little bit out of just into the reach of Benny Fowler, catches the ball, gets a touchdown on a broken play, and that's something that you see from veterans. And if you watched Sunday, you watch guys like Aaron Rodgers do that exact same thing. He's got the free play. He's taking a shot to the end zone. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, he's got the free play. So that's something that it's really good to see out of Simeon, especially from last year, having, everybody kept calling him the check down king. He was definitely not the check down king. He was throwing it over the middle. He was throwing it to the outside. He was getting every receiver, and he's looking very Aaron Rodgers-esque, spreading the ball to everybody. He threw the ball to Huerman, got a couple good catches. He got Virgil Green, got a huge catch in the fourth quarter to get us down into field goal range before he took a couple sacks. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, obviously Bernie Fowler with two touchdowns. He had a lot of catches, so he's spreading the ball. Yeah, and it's definitely makes for a dream for Mike McCoy to be able to. I have all these athletes. Let's make sure we spread the ball, and now Trevor Simeon's doing it too. So. Yep. It's definitely good to see. I have a lot of respect for Trevor Simeon. Even more, obviously, he's a Bronco, so I have all respect for him. But even more now after seeing that game, I definitely can see him being our future, and hopefully he can stay healthy and keep it up.
Yeah, and so one of the big things, one of the questions I had going into this week was, how is he going to lead the team? It's one thing to just walk out on the field and try to make the passes. Yep. It's another thing to be a leader on the field and be a game manager as well, make the right calls, make the right decisions. Yep. And I think he did exactly that last more, time and time again. And that one interception he threw, he probably shouldn't have thrown over there, but the interception itself was just such a freak accident, bouncing off the toe, and the other defender was right there. I mean, it was very weird. But again, it goes back to, I'm glad they learned that lesson now of, hey, you got to protect that ball for all 4 quarters of the game, because you put it against a veteran quarterback, I hate to say it, but a talented quarterback like Philip Crimea Rivers, and they're gonna make something happen with it. You give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile, is what they were saying on the post game show, and I think I completely agree with that. And we talk about playing quarterbacks coming up, Derek Carr, Eli Manning. We got the Rivers again on October 2nd. Then we go to the Chiefs, who are
flip it over, show.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. Why not? But these quarterbacks are gonna do the same exact thing of, hey, we can't give them an inch. And then, you look at November 12th there, you give Brady any sort of an inch, and, they're going to roll you over for it. So I'm glad we learned it in week 1, and still we were able to take away the W with it. But hopefully that lesson carries with them throughout the course of the season. But hey, some people were calling that the Chargers were going to be 9-7 and the Broncos were going to be 7-9. So I think that already puts us one step ahead of where we want to be in the division.
Oh, absolutely. The schedule is going to be rough. We do have the toughest schedule according to last year's records. We have the toughest schedule. Obviously, I know we have the toughest division. I want to go into some of this. I 100% agree. Probably my second favorite, next to the Bernie Fowler play, was the Virgil Green in the fourth quarter, driving him down, saying, you know what, we got this. And the other thing, Logan, thank you for your comment. I 100% agree. Our offense is so much more exciting to watch and explosive under Mike McCoy, because he has a great football mind, and from a coaching perspective, watching how he can dial up, and he can go from a 2 tight end set to a 3 tight end set to a spread to having a fullback in there and getting the fullback involved, and Andy Janovich, and all of those things, and in one drive he can have all of those and just switch them in and out and seamlessly, and all of them ended up working, and it was amazing to see. And from a football perspective, it's awesome, and it's a lot of fun just seeing it go back and forth. So I 100% agree with you, Logan. It was really cool to see that McCoy could throw all that in there.
One thing for me, and I know we were just talking about the improvements we saw from Trevor Simeon, talking about the leadership style, but I do want to point out, I meant to earlier, sorry guys, he bounced back like this, but there was a play where we threw it to DT and it hit him in the hands and bounced off.
Okay.
I don't know whose call it was, but whoever it was, and I think it was Trevor looking for him on that very next play of, hey, I know what you can do. you screwed up on that one, but we're going to get you a bigger play on this one. And he totally came through for us. And I was sitting there going, God damn it, DT, like what are you doing? And then not even 30 seconds later, like, okay, I forgive you. And I think that kind of leadership mentality of, hey, you screwed that one up, but I'm going to you again because I know what you can do.
Yeah.
I think you don't see that from a lot of young quarterbacks in terms of, hey, give these guys their chances. Don't start looking away from because they screwed up one play. Like, reinstill that confidence in them, and it gets the fans, right back on the feet as well.
Right.
So that kind of stuff is super exciting to see really early on in the season.
And that goes back to what Von Miller said. We don't have one captain. We don't have 5 captains. Everybody's a captain on this team. Everyone's a leader, and he really showed it. Forget about the drop pass. Go out and make another play. And he did it the play after, so it was amazing to see. And obviously, that's a veteran guy. He's our longest Bronco on the team right now, and he definitely showed it. He showed that he has the ability, and he shows that he can still do this, and don't count him out. So that was definitely refreshing to see.
Hey guys, post a couple more of your questions if you want. Let's see, Carlos. Yeah, you talked about that.
I talked about his green. Yeah,
big thing, guys. Yeah, CJ.
So I do want to mention CJ Anderson had an amazing game. Again, stat wise, maybe not. However, when he did get the ball in his hand, he made a play out of it. If we needed 2 yards, he'd get 3. If we needed 9, he got 10. And that was exactly what we needed. And even, again, and you mentioned this too, Jamal Charles, other than the one fumble, he was getting 9, 10 yards, and he was bouncing to the outside. And it was amazing. It was great to see. And that's why our offense and all those drives, other than a few stalled ones in the first half, looked so good. And it was because he has so much available to him, and anytime you can get a 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2 situation, it opens up the entire playbook. You can take a shot, you could just try to get the first down, you can keep going depending on the situation, and having our athletes get those yards and knowing that if we give the ball to them, guaranteed at least 2-3 yards every time, maybe 9-10, is very, very good to see. And I think we're being underrated right now, and I think that people watch that game and we're like, oh, well, it was just the Chargers. I think we're going to have to prove it again against the Cowboys, and
that's fine. Hey, we're have to prove it every week, not just for ourselves, but to the the NFL world in general. That hey, we're not playing around. Keep counting us out. I'm fine. We're 2-point underdogs going into the game right now against Dallas, and I'm okay with that. Speaking of which, really quickly, hey guys, my best friend is a Cowboys fan, so if you could send me any memes you guys got or anything making fun of them, I want to send them her way as well, just to make sure she sees them. But no, I think. Next week will be a bigger challenge. We kind of get a slight reprieve going into week 3 against the Bills.
But even the Bills,
it's nice. It's slight reprieve. I don't want to count them out.
Right. I mean, they're in a rebuilding stage, and they're definitely having some issues. But we definitely can't count them out. We got to take it week by week. We got to. I think Vaughn said it best. We need to string them together. We need to string the wins together. So. Yeah.
But that'll lead us into week 4 against the Raiders, and I think, so I'm just take advantage Joseph's viewpoint right now of we got the last win, and let's just look into the next guys at the Cowboys. We'll talk about the Raiders game when we get there, but I am excited / nervous for it just because. But after seeing how we did last night, I'm not nearly as nervous as I was a week ago.
Oh yeah.
But as long as we keep playing to this level every single week, and we close out games all 4 quarters. We can't rely on Shelby Harris or somebody getting a fingertip block on every single game tying or game winning field goal against the other team. But if we had closed that out a little better, it wouldn't even been close.
I do also want to mention that both those 2 tough games that we have are at home, so Broncos country needs to be louder, and especially you guys got a guy like Phillip Rivers who's been a veteran and he's still messing up. You get Dak Prescott in there, wait for him to get that noise and see how he reacts to that.
Exactly.
And I'm expecting another couple penalties, and I'm expecting a few more timeouts taken from Broncos country because we can get loud.
Sweet. Okay, guys, a couple things. If you heard at the beginning of the show and at the end as well, I want to thank the Mad Fanatic. In fact, hey Jared, do you got your flag?
I do. I don't have it with me right now.
You don't have it with you, or you don't have one at all?
I don't have one yet.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, if you guys want your own Broncos gang flag, go and look up Broncos gang, the Mad Fanatic on online. You can apply. It's an application process. You have to answer 3 or 4 questions to prove that you're a diehard Bronco fan. If they let you in, the $20 payment, but you get your nice, sweet Bronco gang flag here. You can take with you. It'll be a part of a really cool group of diehard fans, such as ourselves here at Orange.
Right. Also, with the Mad Fanatic, I want to throw out to him, thank him so much for letting us use his music. The music that you hear here and on our podcast is all from him. He's an amazing an amazing artist.
They're letting us use his music.
Yeah, letting us use his music. It's amazing. So go out, and he just came out with a new CD last week to start the season. No, it's fine. To start the season, it's called Bronco for Life. I think it's his last one for a little bit because he's going to take a break and become a fan first.
Hopefully he comes back.
I do hope he comes back. If you guys go out there, check it out. Check out some of the tracks. Orange Main is probably my favorite. But yeah, definitely check him out. And yeah, like I said, he's an amazing guy, cool guy, lets us use his music, and great Bronco fan, and it's amazing to watch. So please go out and support him. If not, just stream his stuff. He doesn't really care about, getting the buys as long as you're listening to his stuff. Listen to his stuff on Spotify and SoundCloud and all. I mean, he has it on everything. So stream it on game days and definitely check him out. Also, good shout out to Brendan Perna.
Yep, that's Good Broncos. Hey, speaking of that Good Broncos, sorry, man. I think we're going to keep it as a halftime hash. I know we don't have any hash browns. I don't know. You want us to smoke hash browns or something?
I don't think that's what he was going with. No, I don't. That's not.
I mean, we're not in Colorado, so we can't, that's the best I could come up with. But, yeah, he's giving us a lot of support, so make sure you go check out That's Good Broncos if you haven't already. He's 100 times funnier than both of us, and I think much better looking than the two of us together. I mean, I don't have the... Oh, I'm not allowed. So good stuff. And the Broncos World Order, of course, check out those guys as well. Big page giving us support as well. So anything Broncos, guys, we're here for it. Make sure you follow our page, share our page as well. I want to do the next 10,000 fans quicker than we got the first one, but I mean we're getting there. We're almost at 11,000 right now.
That's amazing. And again, so much for the support. You guys have been amazing. Thank you guys for all the comments. Hopefully we got to as many as you guys could. And keep tuning in on Tuesday nights and
plugs as well. Jared and Matt's podcast coming up probably in the next couple of days.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to get it out by Thursday or Friday. Try to get it to iTunes by Friday, so you guys can listen to it either on your way home or on your way to work on Friday. If not, listen to it on Saturday night or Sunday before the game. Try to give you a little bit of in-depth analysis on what we're going to be trying to do to beat the Cowboys and what our goal is to hashtag beat the Cowboys.
Hashtag beat the Cowboys. Badly as well. Send me your Cowboys memes as well from my friend. I think that covers everything we want to talk about. Make sure you we'll be doing the halftime hash show here on Orange Weekly at the very beginning of halftime. So as you're going up to get your beer, hit the restroom or whatever, make sure you check us out. Right. And I don't want to hear those announcers at halftime. I don't really care what they have to say. I want to talk Broncos. I want to talk Broncos with you guys as well. So halftime hash just for about 8-10 minutes during halftime, and we'll get back to the game. Yep. Perfect timing for that. So again, thanks for all you guys. Thanks to Jared. Thanks to Matt, Jason. Jason will be doing his Orange Weekly After Dark show later tonight. So if you want to talk more Broncos, you can get enough of it from us. Check him out as well tonight. But with that said, guys, I think we're going to sign off.
Yeah.
And as always,
go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
Order like 3 burritos. Get them out of here. Yep, no more T-Bo. Mark 50-yard line, gray seat, Sub-Zero. There's only one way, and that's L-Way P-O. Denver Broncos, they the truth. Quick to hit you with the mile high salute. Got the doubters and the haters on mute. From head to foot, draped out in orange and blue. Broncos. And never made them reppin' for the Broncos. And never